If I could holler just like a mountain jack.
Well, when I was little, I used to sit all day watching the records play on the phonograph, and after I started taking guitar lessons, I eventually became quite interested in this kind of music. Once I started taking lessons that really were blues style. At first, I was just kind of taking folk guitar, which taught me the Carter family style playing, where you play the melody with your thumb, and then some finger picking, but not particularly blues. But once I hit the blues stuff, you know, I just kind of stuck with it for the rest of my life. I began to listen to records that my teachers were recommending, like Mama Let Me Lay It On You, a collection on the Yazoo label, and you know, Blind Blake records and such. And I just kept buying more and more of them. And after a while, I began to be more and more able to figure the stuff out for myself, which is what I'm trying to impart to the students this year, and it seems to be working. Haven't been handing out a lot of tablature, mainly just, I mean, I've hardly written anything out, actually, just a couple of things that are really tricky, but mostly, you know, I show it, I explain what's going on theoretically, show the basics, and then we go through some licks slowly. And people say it's been helping their ear training a lot, and then now that they feel they can go home and figure out some more stuff by these guys for themselves. And my mom used to play music a little. I think the main thing that she did to contribute to my musical development was to mandate music lessons at a certain age. When I was 12, she said that I had to take lessons. And I could choose banjo or I could choose guitar, and I chose guitar. And you know, I wasn't pleased about it at the time, but now I'm thankful that she did that. It's just been, you know, one of my main interests and passions in life is playing the music of these old guys and listening to their records. And really, what I'm trying to do when I'm out playing and stuff is, you know, I don't always play stuff exactly like the original record. Fortunately, you know, I'll say in many respects, but I am trying to turn people on to this music, the original recordings from the 20s and 30s. Which I find that even after all these years are not exactly you know, top 40 material. They're pretty ignored considering how brilliant the playing is on them. So when I play, I'm trying to yeah, I want people to buy my album and show up and hear me and think I play well and all this kind of stuff. But I'm definitely also trying to publicize these old guys. And I think this week I've been able to do that with my Lonnie Johnson lessons and my Blind Blake lessons. I think, you know, some of the people were listening to that stuff already, some weren't. I've been able to point out certain tunes worth listening to and all. And so that's one of the things that's been good about this week for me. I remember one of the first songs that I was working on, I guess, as I remember by myself, was this tune called I'm Throwing Up My Hand. It's on the 1935 recordings of Reverend Gary Davis. And at that time I was taking a few lessons from Dave Van Ronk, the folk and blues singer and guitar player, and he recommended this album, which I didn't have at the time, which was on the Yazoo label, Reverend Gary Davis, 1935 to 1949. And he said it's really depressing, it's the best guitar playing. And it was really depressing, and it was the best guitar playing. And there was this lick that I practiced and practiced. People from college, when I was going to college, that I still talk about how I would play this lick incessantly. I don't know how they stood it, but it's this thing in A, and there's this lick. And I was just practicing that and practicing it, and I played it wrong a while. And then once I got the idea of what it was, then it still took me, you know, months to get it so it was smooth, so that I wouldn't screw it up. Just like a mountain jack, if I could holler, just like a mountain jack. Maybe I need a couple more years of practicing. I'd go upon the mountain, holler my baby back. There is one thing sure do worry me. There is one thing
good gal packed her suitcase, walked off and left poor me.
Yeah, so I was practicing that all the freaking time, and yeah, I remember that record. It was an LP at the time, and it was on in my bedroom, and I was listening to it. I think I left the room, and then I came back because I was hearing this great lick, and it's this classic kind of Gary Davis blues lick in A. Now, to me, the best blues ever recorded was in the late 20s, early 30s, from 1926 to 1932 or so, and a little later so as to include Robert Johnson and Blind Boy Fuller. But most of the stuff was 1926 to 32, and to me, that's this golden age of the blues. And you know, whenever I think of where's the best of the blues, it's back during that period. It's too bad that a lot of the old records weren't recorded that well. 78 RPM records actually can sound really great. If you listen to some of Lonnie Johnson's records, especially from late 20s, early 30s, the tone is just beautiful, the sound's great. One of the reasons actually is because they're faster. You know, generally, whatever medium you're working in, if you got more stuff going by per second, it's better. You know, like if you used to use audio tape, the higher speed, well, you sacrifice length that you can record because it uses up the tape faster, but the higher speed's better. Same with, if you remember, VHS videotape. And the same, I think, with the 78s. I think they also benefited from their higher speed. You know, that was the fastest speed on the old turntables. But unfortunately, even though the 78s can sound good, they didn't always. And in particular, the Paramount Record Company, which recorded some of the best players. They had Blind Blake, Blind Lemon Jefferson, also had Ma Rainey. Just did a terrible job of engineering. They used cheap vinyl, which I've seen some of the original records, and the vinyl is sort of inherently lumpy even before anything's stamped into it. So you have this built-in surface noise, and then they seemed somehow not to turn up the gain enough, so you have not too much sound laid on top of, or you might say under, the surface noise and all. And then a lot of people played these records again and again because the guys were so great and they were very popular players. And especially the Blind Lemon ones, they just can get totally beat. And it's these records that are used for the reissues today. So once somebody's worn it out, that's what you got. You got to take the best copy you can. Sometimes they'll splice a bunch of ones together. But yeah, it's too bad that a lot of the great plays recorded for Paramount. It's still well worth listening to, but you could wish that it was a little clearer sometimes.
There is one thing sure do worry me. There is one thing sure do worry me. My good gal packed her suitcase, walked off and left poor me.
Yeah, so I was practicing that all the freaking time, and yeah, I remember that record. It was an LP at the time, and it was on in my bedroom.